Why is it so important, this book, part 2 of Never Split the Difference? Here in the Mastermind Book Club, we're focused on improving each of your lives. And this book comes in at a time that I think allows us to communicate in a much more meaningful way, in a way that most people have lost, have not come in communication with recently. Meaning, I'm certain that most people that you come across don't communicate this way. However, in my own experience, I've come across 1 or 2 people who've practiced 1 or 2 of these techniques, of the techniques that Chris Voss goes over. It's a particular technique that most of us will not understand right away. It takes time. Why am I saying this? What's the importance of what we are going over? So let me share my screen and I'll tell you why I'm saying all of this. And that way we can take out all the guesswork right out the door and be able to focus on exactly what we need to focus here. All right, so what we reviewed the first time, we reviewed that the way we communicate is very important. Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss has taught me that my tone is usually assertive or excited, and I need to learn how to be calm, and I need to learn how to empathize with whoever it is I'm communicating with. Mirroring, repeating the last 2 or 3 words that a person states whenever they're speaking. Labeling, saying it seems like or it sounds like that you feel this way or that this might not work for you, and so on. The important thing about this book is that you should always focus on getting no answers. No, a simple no, instead of trying to get a yes, which is what most people out there focus on. You know, you want to buy something, they will yes you to death, to the point that you might even say yes just to get them out of the way, to brush them away. But one of the most important lessons that this book leaves me still remains open. But before we go into it, I just want to let you know the part of the review that I had planned already. Bending reality. That's another part of this book, bending reality. You see, there's a concrete strategy on who they tend to lose. 1, you anchor your emotions. Lousy propositions still want to bring you this opportunity by taking somewhere else. Remember that. It might be a lousy opportunity, a lousy proposition, but you can always say that you could take it somewhere else where you might get a better opportunity. How not to lose 500 to another guy. That's what this focuses on, bending reality. Let the other side go first. Always let whoever you're speaking with have the right to say whatever it is that they have to say on their mind. Because usually I want to go first. And I know that you've probably been in that situation. But those of you who know how to let others go first, learn the most. Number 3, establish a range. For example, a price range. So let's say you want to buy a house that costs $1 million. So what's your range? Now, Chris Voss teaches us go 65%. Start out at 65. What's 65% of $1 million? $650,000. And then work your way up to 85 or 95, or of your goal. So let's say your goal is to pay 900,000, but you started at 650,000. That's how you start out, and you use the 4 techniques that were discussed in the beginning of the book to get some leverage. Pivot to non-monetary terms. Don't let yourself get tied to always giving the monetary amounts first. Let the other side do that. Let them give you the numbers. All right? Now, one of the specific techniques calls us to use odd numbers mainly. Why? Most people like even. 5,000. How about $4,923? That's all I have. Number 6, illusion of control. Who's in control? Remember, use calibrated questions that they have to come up with solutions on their own. Start with what or how, and sometimes with why. Mainly what or how. What are you doing? You know, what makes you think that this will work? How do you feel about joining me on this venture? And try to avoid the words at the bottom there. I know they're grayed out. Sorry about that. Can, is, are, do, does. Avoid those. How would you like me to proceed? That's an important question. How would you like me to proceed? What is it that brought us into this situation? How can we solve this problem? How am I supposed to do that? The purpose, I want something as you, but I need your intelligence to overcome the problem. Meaning, you've got to get their information. Get your counterparts to bid against themselves. That's right. A few examples are given in this book, how the counterpart gets to bid against themselves. Plan for help. How am I supposed to do that? Remember that question, but that's not how you say it. You say it as in, how am I supposed to do that? Slow it down. I've practiced it at home with my wife. I practice it with people I meet. It's amazing the power of the DJ voice, the late night DJ voice. Your offer is very generous. I'm sorry, that just doesn't work for me. I'm sorry, no. Being straight out. Don't make a counter offer. Wait for the counter offer part from the person you're negotiating with. They will bid against themselves at least once. Number 8, and very, very powerful and important, use the Ackerman principle. You need to model to bargain hard. Bargain hard. I didn't like to bargain until I got to this book. I'm going to bargain from now onward. And I won't take a no until I get a deal that's closer to my goal. Prepare, prepare. This is one of the important keys in this book, is that we need to prepare what we want. Don't just show up and think you're going to wing it. If you prepare, then you get ahead of the opponent or the person you're making the deal with. Rise to the occasion or go to the highest level of preparation. Fall, whoops, not go, fall to the highest level of preparation. Meaning, you either rise to the occasion or you're going to fall down to where the level that you prepared yourself towards. Set a target price beforehand. Set your first offer at 65%, which I mentioned earlier. Calculate 3 raises of decreasing increments, 85, 95, and 100%. So when calculating final price amount, use precise non-round numbers. What does this mean? It means write the numbers out, calculate them before giving this number. For example, 37,894 and not 38,000. Okay? A penny earned is a penny saved. You can throw in non-monetary items. They probably don't want to show your limit. All right? Meaning, if you say, I only have 36,000 and I can throw in a bookcase that I have at home that costs about $300. I don't know if that's true, but I'm making it up. Never Split the Difference by Voss. So the title tells you the most important things about this book. Number 1 is, don't take yes for an answer, don't take no for an answer. The author is an expert on counterterrorism and on, what is it called? On victims that have been taken so that monetary value can be placed on these people's persons. Chris Voss teaches us that there are at least 3 things to be learned from the opposing side when you're in a negotiation. If those 3 things that he calls a black swan, each one of them, are spoken or mentioned in some way, then you have the edge. So at the end of the book, he mentions how this religious person from, I remember which state it was, went to Washington, D.C. back in 1983 in his truck from his farming. And the tobacco industry was hit hard, and he threatened to explode everything in Washington, D.C. And they were closed down for 3 days. But in those 3 days, they got to know, number one, that he was an Army vet. And that means, I'm not an Army vet, but according to what Chris Voss says, is that they have a code of honor. And this person had a code of honor. So they could speak to him in reference to that. That's a black swan. What was number 2? Number 2 was that he was there to fulfill a need, and that he was ready to commit suicide. However, Chris knew that that was a black swan right there, because he knew to fulfill his need, he would have to remain alive. Otherwise, it would never be fulfilled. Meaning he wanted the best for all the farmers and not just for his benefit. And number 3 was that he was a religious person. And the 3rd day that they were there was the resurrection of Jesus Christ. So Chris Voss didn't pick up on this because he didn't know much about religion, but one of his assistants that was listening picked it up. What does this tell me? When you go into a negotiation and you want to start a business, or you want to buy a house, don't go at it alone, because that's what they want. If you go at it alone, you have no reinforcements. When I go with my friends to buy a car, I just listen, and when I can jump in, I will let them know it's too high, it's too low, negotiate. But I didn't know all these techniques existed until now. These techniques are very important. Now, what's the most important thing that I learned about this book? Is that most of us forget to listen. Most of us forget to listen. That's it. If you learn how to listen, everything else will work its way to you. Learn how to communicate. That's the most important lesson from this book. And Gina, who's on this call, mentioned earlier that in her group that she's a part of, that they have been taught to listen and to not speak. That's the most important skill that we all should have, but our tongues get the best out of us. So if the next time you're in a negotiation, or if you're practicing, let other people speak. Let them be heard. Let them feel like you care about them. This person that I just spoke about, that Chris Voss talked out of committing suicide, at the end said, "Nobody's ever heard me like you have." And that's what most people get from Chris Voss. Why is it? Because he's learned the neuro-linguistic programming in the neurosciences that we each can merit from becoming a better salesperson. If you're selling a product, now you know that it's not about selling the product as much as what can I help you with? How can I help you? Those are the 2 questions. How can I help you? What can I help you with? And soon enough, as you develop rapport with these people, you will get a sale from them, or you will get recommendations from them. This is it for the review today, but I want to let you know that this book is highly, highly important. And for anyone who's in to the negotiations, in reference to influencing, selling a product, Use the Ackerman principle, which I have listed here. Here they go, 1 through 8, all right? So these are the first 4, and this is, whoops, 4. 4, actually, I don't know why I have 8. I guess that refers to my 8-point bullet point. So use the Ackerman principle. It's very simple. There are books out there in reference to it, but Chris Voss mentions these books. But not only that, he also gives these guides that are easily accessible to any of us. I'm going to see if I can open one, so that way you get a little bit more out of this class than most people will. Now, this is all mentioned in Chris Voss's book, but most people don't follow it, don't look it up, don't even know it exists. I have about 5 PDF files from Chris Voss's, let me see, hold on a second, new share, let's see, where is it? Here we go. So let me know if you can see that. This is, okay, good, thank you for letting me know. So, negotiation one sheet. This is very important. You can zoom in if you have a cell phone. Pretty certain you can zoom. Goal. I'm just going to repeat the first line from each one. Your goal. You got to state your goal. What's your goal? Identify specific scenario that represents best case scenario. Set an optimistic but reasonable goal and define it clearly. Write it down. Discuss your goal with a colleague. Carry the written goal into negotiation. Summary, a couple of sentences about the known facts that have led up to the negotiation, intended to produce a "that's right" response. The third thing, 3 to 5 labels to perform an accusation audit. It seems like blank is valuable to you. It seems like you don't like this. It seems like you value that. It seems like blank makes it easier. It seems like you're reluctant. And sheet 2 on this negotiation one sheet, 3 to 5 calibrated questions to reveal value and overcome potential deal killers. For your counterpart, what are we trying to accomplish? How is that worthwhile? What's the core issue here? How does that affect things? How does this fit into what the objective is? To identify and diffuse deal killing issues. What are we up against here? What is the biggest challenge you face? To identify behind the table deal killers. How does this affect the rest of your team? All right. So you've got to be clear, because some people will come into a deal planned, knowing what to say, knowing what to do, knowing how to get out of a situation. And if you're not prepared, you're going to lose out on the deal. And lastly, 3 to 5 labels to follow up after they answer your calibrated question. It seems like, again, is important. It seems you like my company is in a unique position to blank. It seems you are worried that blank. And the non-cash offers, list of non-cash items possessed by your counterpart that will be valuable to you. What could they give you that would make you do this for free? This is very important sheets here, these last 2 sheets. There are many more parts to this book. I don't know which one you like most. However, I do recommend that every so often you listen to this book, work on one of these tasks on a daily basis, asking questions, mirroring, listening, labeling, your tone. Practice, practice. How many times does the author say we need to repeat these? He says 23 times. If you repeat them 23 times, you will have them down. That's what Chris Voss says. I haven't tried it 23 times yet, but I've tried it many times, and I know it works. So this is it for our review today. And what I want to leave you is the book that we're going to go over next week, which I'm going to post in the morning after I post this review tonight. That book is only 2 hours long. Try to listen to it as best as you can, 30 minutes a day. If you can do it twice, listen to it twice, just like I do. This book right here, Never Split the Difference, I'm going to keep listening to because I think it's very powerful, and I'm going to practice it. These sheets, that PDF files that he refers to in his book, they all exist, and I found them. I had to do a little research, but they're there. Get them on your own and become involved with your own influencing skills and marketing. To you, have a great evening. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate all the love and your participation here very, very much. Signing off from Facebook, David Diaz and the Mastermind group. Hold on a second here. Let's see how we can stop this.